Welcome to Café Crea. I'm Josiane Faubert. Welcome to Café Crea. My guest today is Niyi Akinmolayan. Niyi is an amazing movie director, creative artist. You may have seen his movies. He was the director of Nigerian highest paying movies like The Wedding Party 2 and Chief Daddy. He's working on animated movie right now, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about his career and his future work. Welcome, Niyi. Thank you for being us today with us.
Thank you for.
Let's just jump to your world quickly. How do you become a movie director?
Well, I mean, it wasn't like a direct, clear path. I started out first, way back in school as I started out first as an animator, and then I got into video editing and like I was really interested in video work and.
So you went to art school? Is that technology
school?
Art school?
I studied engineering actually.
Oh wow!
So I was one of those kids who would run away from lectures, just so I can do some work on the computer. But I think I always had the love for technology and media and, how they both connected. So I was into digital video and digital media from a very early stage. But when I graduated and I started working with studios, I had a boss of mine look at me one day and said, "Hey, why don't you think about directing? It looks like you'll be good at it." And that's how it started. So I took, courses on directing, read a lot of books, and I started experimenting. And in 2009, I made my first film. It was a science fiction attempt. Then it was called Kajola. And it came out in 2010.
You were trying to reach for the sky, right?
Yes, I was trying to do something totally different from, the regular stuff that we had then. It was half and half. Some people thought it was really bold and all that. Some people wanted to kill me for it. It started the career, right? And from then on, I took my time to understand. I took like a 2-year break. And I started understanding the audience, what they cared about, and how I could start thinking differently as a filmmaker who still wanted to make a difference, do something really impactful and powerful, but still connected with the local audience. And that journey meant I had to work for a lot of people as a director, and gradually find how to make movies that Nigerians will love. And, now we are where we are, with The Wedding Party 2. And the likes of it. My recent film is The Setup, which was on Netflix last month, and it was really, really well received. You should check it out.
Yeah.
So basically that's it. So the Setup would be my most recent work, and it's on Netflix.
Okay. Yeah. So The Setup, guys, you need to check it out on Netflix. So you've mentioned that you've studied. Did you study how to become a director? You went to a director school in Nigeria, or how do you?
No, it was mostly, a lot of reading, a lot of practice. So directing is, regardless of your route, directing is very apprenticeship based.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a mentor, you need to have a director that you work with, you understudy for a while, and then gradually you find your own voice. I loved reading and I loved experimenting.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to make that transition because I always had access to cameras and all that I could play with. I always had people willing to be actors in my little, short films that I would experiment with. And typically that would be the route if this is really what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. And then does it cost a lot of money to make a movie? Like, do you need to go out and fundraise or find a producer? How do you, once you've read all of that and you decided you're ready to do your first science fiction movie, like where did you go? Like, did you say, okay. I'm going to talk to my old boss?
I guess it's going to be different for different countries, depending on where your viewers are watching. In a lot of Western countries, people have access to creative funds, where they can, if you just have a great idea, you can get funding. It's not the same in Nigeria. For my first film, luckily, I've been doing a lot of work in corporate videos, documentaries, advertising. So I had a bit of saving. Most likely, your first film would be with your money, or money from your uncles or your parents and all that. So even though I knew the money I had then was not going to do the film, I started anyway. And I started talking to people about it. I started showing people until I eventually found someone who was now willing to commit a little more into it. But if you believe in something so much and it's something you want to do, sacrifice. I sacrifice all my money, everything I have, to make this happen. If you're not ready for that kind of sacrifice, then this is probably not for you.
And how do you distribute it? So that in Nigeria, once you have a movie, do you have to go through a very set path of distribution, or you can just, put it out on social media for people to see, especially if it's your first movie, I guess you have nothing to lose by just sharing it.
If it's your first movie and it's like a short film, the typical advice is to try and get as much as possible people to see it, because if you're starting out in your career, that's what you want. You want people to see your films. You want filmmakers to see your film, so you want to try for festivals and the likes. And once you're done with all that route, put your film, like on YouTube and the like. In Nigeria, nobody's going to pay you for a short film, and all that. If you're doing a feature film, you need to start thinking about distribution early. You need to ask yourself, where do I want to put this film? Am I doing direct to cable? Am I using online platforms, or am I going to cinema? The typical route, if it is a well-made film in Nigeria, would be you go to cinemas, it would do probably like 4 to 6 weeks there. And then you start chasing, SVODs, TVODs, Amazon, Netflix, so you can get some good money. And then when you're done with that, you now go to like the lower end VODs and, the cable networks and the likes.
And do you think that, are there any standards that you need to, what would be this? I assume there's before even start thinking about Netflix or Amazon, all these big distribution network. What are the standards? Because you don't want anyone to just start going with, whatever first project that is not really good. How do you know that you're there, and that, is it a viewership?
Right.
Is it?
So it's also like the platform dependent. So first, the underlying standard is that you need to have a great story. You need to have something everybody wants to see. A story people care about. It doesn't matter how much you put in a film. If nobody cares about it, it's a waste of money. Then you ask yourself, what exactly is the platform? If you're doing something for cinema, the world is changing now in the sense that people now have access to really great films and shows at the comfort of their streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. If you want them to leave their homes and go to the cinema, it has to be worth their time. It has to be the kind of films that have the scale and the spectacle, in cinema. So the production quality has to be high, the budget has to be high, everything you're considering, even the marketing and all that has to be high. But if that's not your route, if you're going straight to TV, and streaming, then you really, really focus on story above every other thing. You might not get all your spectacle right, which is why we tell people that, your first film, don't go for cinema first. Try all the smaller places where you genuinely get instant feedback.
Yes.
When you're filming cinema, you don't get instant feedback because people watch and they just walk away. But if they watch it on platforms, they can tweet about it, talk about it a lot faster and easily, and then they can share it. So as long as you have great stories, if you're new and you have budget constraints, it's always advisable you go first with streamers or with cable networks, and then you build confidence there that can take you to cinema. Because if you do not have some level of spectacle, your film is not going to do that great in cinemas.
Wow. Okay, that's great. Great advice. And how do you go by, so now you're making movies, so you respected. How do you decide to go to the animated movie medium?
All right. So I also own a very big studio in Nigeria called Anzio Studios,
Mm-hmm.
where we do a lot of production, post-production, and animation work. Remember, I said that I started out as an animator.
Yes.
So I've been building a strong animation team for about 6 years now.
Okay.
And we're always, trying stuff, putting stuff out there, short form stuff and the likes, So we've always been there, but we've been serving mainly commercials, and basically we just put out short form just to test, audience reaction and to test the technology and our skill. But when this particular event happened, something happened. I was stuck with my own 5-year-old, and I was trying to explain the virus to him, but it wasn't working until I realized I needed to be more vivid. I came up with the idea of the Corona monster, and all that. And the moment that was working, I reached out to all the animators. They were all working from home, and I said, guys, I think we have an opportunity here. Let's show people what we're actually capable of and what the power of animation.
Yeah.
So we've always had a studio to do that, but this time around we wanted to be specific. We even went ahead, we created a website, funkeandhabib.com, where we can encourage people to help us make more, and then to see previous work that we've done.
Yes. So I went to the website. So Funke and Habib is amazing because it educates, especially children, on what is COVID-19 and, all the first step that you need to make to, stay healthy, which is amazing. It's beautifully done. And you can watch it for free. So check it out, guys. Watch it. And if you can donate also, because, there's a team working on it. Like, we all love free stuff, but think about the team, the creatives behind it. If you can donate, that would be great. I'll put the link at the end of the video so that you guys can have no excuse to check it out. So that's great. And what's next then? What are you working on?
Well, I mean, the studio, so because right now the studio is also focused on productions because we have young, talented directors in-house. So we're working on Nigeria's first, time travel film, family adventure movie. Yes, the code name for now is DOD. It's about two kids who travel to the past to change the destiny of their parents because they thought their parents were poor.
Wow.
But then they find out that there are a lot of things more important than money. But that's something that has not been explored before in Nigeria. So at Anzio Studios, we care a lot about that story. We want to be like the Disney of Africa, where we can play with ideas like magical fantasy, science fiction, adventure, and bring out something really fun and something great.
Yeah. So how long does it take for you, like from beginning to end, when you work on a movie?
It depends on the size of the movie. It can take as long as a year. It can take 6 months, to do.
And what about the animated movies? So there's different episodes. One episode will take you how long, for example?
Well, so for Funke and Habib, each one has taken roughly 2 weeks, from start to finish.
Yeah.
To
wow. And do you write yourself or do you work with writers?
Oh, yes. Well, I have a team of writers, but for Funke and Habib, I wrote the two myself, in my bedroom because, we're all on lockdown. So, so I write, but I have a writing team in-house as well.
Mm-hmm. And for people interested in writing stories, especially stories that connect, any recommendation for them? Like, do they just need to just write? Like, I've read that you just need to go ahead and write and, don't overthink it.
Yeah, the general thing about filmmaking is that you become a better filmmaker by making films.
Yes.
And that's spread across, you become a better writer by writing, right? And so a lot of people have great writing in itself is basically putting all your ideas into words, so you can learn the software, you can learn you need to learn, the way you edit out a script and all that. You need to learn story structure. You can learn all those things. But the true genius of writing is what you have here, that inner story you want to tell and put it out. But you never know until you start writing. The other thing I advise young writers to do is read a lot of scripts. The internet has giving us that gift to where almost all your favorite Hollywood films, the scripts eventually come out online and you can have access to them. And you read it in a way, when you're reading it, you're reverse engineering the mind of the original writer, you know, and that can help you when you're thinking about your writing.
All right. And then, so as African parent, my biggest regret was to have never been able to go to art school, because forget it, my parents, I mean, art school, seriously? I'm originally from Gabon. So
nice.
Crazy, you're going to art school? No way. Would you recommend, you as a working artist or creative, if your child was coming to you and say, Dad, I want to work in Nollywood, I want to be a writer, a script writer, I want to be a production setup, you know, scene setup or whatever, what would you tell them? Would you encourage them, or would you say?
I mean, it's easy to understand why our parents felt that way. The world wasn't as it is right now, you know, but the kids themselves can see it. So I think it's wrong if you're a successful filmmaker and your child wants to be like you and you're talking them down. You know, I think you should let them find their path.
Okay. There was a problem with the internet. I think you were gone for a while, but you're back now. Okay, so you will encourage your children to do what they want.
Oh yes, I will encourage them. Not just that, I will make it happen for them. So I feel that, you know, we also have that responsibility to be the extra leverage.
Yes.
You know, so if it took you 10 years to get there, you know, ensure your child gets there in 4, you know, or in 3. That's what I would totally do.
Yeah. So, and how would you say, like, if somebody came and say, you know, with high hopes and say, you know, I'm going to be successful, and thinking that it's going to happen overnight, what can you tell them from your experience? You're still very young and already successful. It happens, to me, it looks like an overnight success, but I'm pretty sure.
So I've been on my first film. I got into a major depression after, you know, it was kicked out of the cinema after 2 days. You know, it was hailed as, it was called a national disaster.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I thought about everything. I walked away from the industry. I stopped coming home. I broke up with my girlfriend. You know, I didn't want to do anything. You know, that it was a very depressing moment. You know, but that was 10 years ago. You know, and now I'm the highest grossing, you know, Nollywood filmmaker. You know, so my journey is such that I've been able to share over time with a lot of young filmmakers. It's a journey riddled with lots of failure, which is why you should do it now that you know. You know, so you have to look up to people. Stop looking at overnight successes. Look at people who have also failed. Ask them what they took out of the failure, okay, and what you can make of it. It's going to get better because some of the hurdles we have to cross, a lot of the young filmmakers now won't have to cross it, but you will still need to wait. You know, what it also means is that because the hurdles are not much, it also means a lot of people are in the space, you know, so now your work really has to stand out, meaning you still need to be patient. So there will never be a time where patience won't be the virtue for success in the industry.
That's true. I think it's valid in any industry. Like, you know, you just have to put up the work and, you know, and wait. Yeah. That's great. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to say to the younger ones?
Well, I mean, I don't know the audience. I don't know the audience for your channel. I just want to say that, you know, whoever is watching this, if you've ever thought about putting your voice out there using film as a medium, the world is a lot better place right now. Don't always wait for the big opportunity. Start with, I know you people hear it all the time, but it's the only truth. Start with whatever you have, you know, your family, your friends, you know, get them to do stuff and all that. In a matter of time, you know, you'll gradually find your voice and the opportunity will come.
That's true. That's great. Thank you so much, guys. A big thank you to Niyi for being with us today. I will put up the link for the movies for you to check out. But Stay blessed, and thank you.
And go see the setup in Netflix, on Netflix.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to share on your social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Thanks.